used this channel in quite a while. But I've just realised I could stream on my phone, so that's what I'm doing. I wonder if anyone will turn up. Turn up. It's saying 0 at the moment. I have a few things to say about. Oh, there's so many things I want to say. Racial composition. I was looking on Twitter, and somebody was complaining about what the British did to the racial compositions of other countries, Hong Kong in particular. But I happen to know that colonialists would divide and rule by getting some group to rule another group on their behalves. And this is pretty standard practice. There is a group of people called Anglo-Chinese, and they are markedly different to non-Anglo-Chinese people. And the Creoles are also a colonial creation. I know they are French Creoles, I believe, and Anglo-Creoles, and these black people pride themselves on being Christian and colonial and being amongst the managerial classes, in the same way that David talks about Jews being in the managerial class. But humanity advances. We have to think of humanity as advancing. Now, a lot of people are worried about things changing, and whether change is a good thing is, in a way, neither here nor there, if we think there is an ultimate purpose to this change, whether we are being directed or attracted to something, and we obviously don't know whether it will end well. Those who believe in God will think it will end well, but even those who believe in God would think it might not end well for them as individuals, because they might be the ones called on to sacrifice their lives and livelihoods for some greater cause that they may or may not have signed up to. Was there a way I could have shared this on Twitter? I'm not sure. Oh yes, I could have, so I'll do that. Having messed around with the racial composition of other countries, ended up messing around with their own. And I often wondered, well, whether these changes are for good or evil. And I have decided that it's all a matter of perspective and all a matter of belief. So if you are a pessimist, then of course you will think change is bad. You prefer how things were before. But if you believe in a progressive ideology, then you would think that every step is inevitable and going in the right direction. Now, Marxists believe in what is called dialectical materialism, which is the idea of different groups of people getting behind different ideas, and fighting it out between themselves, and eventually arriving at a worker's heaven, a worker's paradise. And liberalism is also a progressive ideology, because liberals believe in the Whig interpretation of history, and the Whig interpretation of history believes that we will get more and more liberty until we arrive at a liberal or libertarian heaven. And I think the ultimate in this idea of liberation is sexual liberation. And this means ignoring the rules of marriage and good parenting. And liberals will say they don't see any harm in an adult having sex with another consenting adult. But those who have religious beliefs would say, well, what about adultery? What about fornication? What about sodomy? And sexually liberated liberals will not give a damn because they don't think they don't think God exists to punish them. But what is the punishment for cheapening sex and allowing all kinds of marriage substitutes? It is, of course, to distract men and women from having children, and there will be demographic consequences to people not having enough children or not having or not parenting or educating them properly so that they will join the labour force of the next generation. Some of you will know that I promote a legal system called secular Quranism, and I have also been saying on Twitter that secular Quranism is the means through which a nation can obtain better gender and labour relations. And this is important and practical, and not getting this right will mean the fall of your civilization, your empire, the aging and shrinking of your society, with the consequence that other groups who who are not shrinking and aging will come over and take over and take your stuff. So lowering the price of sex has very real life consequences. I don't think this is hard to understand. It's just that nobody is listening. So one of the other things I've been talking about is communication. Now, I will be talking to Khalid Safir on his channel tomorrow at 7 p.m. British Summer Time. We will be discussing the institution of marriage, how to be marriageable, how to maintain your marriage, and related matters. And Khalid has sent me a video by, surprise, surprise, Alain de Botton, talking about relationships. So this is something to look forward to. I don't quite know what we'll end up talking about. But the idea is to improve human relations, what Khalid and I are trying to do. And I think, at the very least, even if we get a few things wrong, or say a few incorrect things, or say a few things that annoy you, we will be discussing the problem of human relationships, particularly the most important human relationship of all, the one that we have with our spouse, and hopefully the other parent of our legitimate offspring. It has been said that the medium is the message. What does this really mean? I think it means that how you communicate something is also part of your message. So if you write someone a letter, it would mean that you're more serious about it than if you just posted something on your Facebook timeline. So that is what I meant by the the message being the medium. I think you can identify that if you were, say, sacked from your job, that you've been there for, decades, by text, or well, even divorces. I mean, there would be a petition for divorce. If your spouse wants to divorce you, you should be informed, and there would be, formal papers from the court, telling you, petitioning for divorce, and, that kind of thing. So, the words we choose and how we choose to the means through which we choose to communicate those words is part of the message, to in a way prepare the person receiving it for to be receptive to it. So I guess in the days of the telegram, you wouldn't be saying, "Hi, how are you?" in a telegram. The person receiving it would know that it's something important, and usually something bad, I suppose. Somebody has died, or people just didn't send telegrams for fun. But going back to the problem of marital problems, relationship problems. One of the things that Alain de Botton raised in his video was the expectation that our partner would instinctively know how we feel, and most of the time we don't, or we refuse to. So, as a political activist, I've noticed that there are people who don't get my message, even after years of communicating with them. And I genuinely don't know if they're just pretending not to in order to be annoying, or that there's some kind of psychological blockage that prevents them from comprehending my message and engaging with it. Possibly it's because they don't like it and they don't see how they can do anything about it, and because they assume that there's nothing they can do about it, they don't want to talk about it. And I haven't been able to convince them that things could easily change if people would only engage on the subject by asking obvious and logical questions. But it seems that these people are just not able to do it, or even if they do ask a logical question, they don't hang around for the answer, or they don't understand the answer, or they forget, or they deliberately distract themselves. And so you are really talking to a populace that suffers from ADHD, or some form of senile dementia. And so people are just not really in the frame of mind to do anything. And it seems to me that I'm talking to people who are in a dying room, waiting to die. And I have rather rudely interrupted the process by talking to them about my solutions. And all they can do is think about the past and wish me away, I suppose. But where are the young people? They are nowhere to be seen, it seems. Yesterday I was talking to Vincent Bruno on Spaces, and he was saying, and he's saying this as a white American man, that most young people in America were politically and morally inert. They're really not capable of doing anything other than shit posting on social media. And I also know that most of them have never met their fathers, and if they have met their fathers, they're so badly fathered that they wouldn't listen anyway. So this is really the problem that is assailing the West. Recently, I have heard heard disturbing news of China beginning its path on the road, its journey on the road to perdition in Sichuan, where it has now become just as easy to register the birth of your bastard as it is for married parents to register the birth of their legitimate offspring. So China is sadly lowering its standards of sexual morality. So those of you who are on the ball will know that I would, of course, be promoting secular Quranism with Chinese characteristics, all the more having this policy of Sichuan come to my notice. I like to think that the Chinese Communist Party would care much more about the long-term national interest of China than our Western governments, who clearly don't give a damn and are just waiting around to die after having started a third world war. So that, sadly, is the state of play in the world. Fortunately, things are running reasonably well. Groceries are delivered, trains are still running. But there are signs, earthquakes and the like, elections too, that show that all is not well. Now, I said earlier that things could be easily fixed, and since people won't ask me the obvious next question, I will have to ask it myself, which is, why do I think it's easy? I think it's easy because people could just, in theory anyway, do what I tell them to do on social media, and that I would have a keyboard army. And this is probably the most that I can expect the morally unprincipled people to do. They might just, share a few posts and like a few things and retweet, they might just do that. And if they have good results, they might do that a bit more and maybe do even more things. But I haven't noticed a lot of live viewers, so I'm going to stop now. I hope those who do listen will subscribe to Khalid Safir's channel so that they can catch him and me going live on Sunday at 7 p.m. GMT. Please subscribe to my other channel called The Office of Secular Quranism, where I stream from my computer. Thank you for your attention and speak to you before too long.